An avid videographer, Kaito Kirishima, is testing his camera when a big impact throws him over the railing. Unexpectedly, a slender hand reaches for his. He wakes up in his room without injury, unable to recall what happened. During breakfast, his sister, Nanami, tells him that she'll be going on a business trip abroad to Bolivia for 3 months. Nanami is worried for him, but he reassures her that he'll be fine while she's gone. In Class 1B, Kaito talks about the movie he's going to make with his friends. Kana Tanegawa asks him if he's chosen a spot to film, while Tetsuro Ishigaki thinks the shy Mio Kidihara would make a great lead. Kaito records the view from the window and spots a red-headed girl. Afterward, the girl introduces herself as Ichika Takatsuki to the faculty. In Class 3A, she gets swarmed by boys, but Riman Yamano saves her. As the two girls eat lunch together, Tetsuro lists off details about Ichika to Kaito, which he gleaned from flirting with the teacher. Kana and Mio arrive, and the former gets annoyed that Kaito is recording the redhead again. Tetsuro takes Kaito with him and asks Ichika if she's willing to appear in their movie. Unexpectedly, she says yes, and Riman volunteers to participate as well. At the pool, Kana says she wants to join in making the movie, and Mio says the same. Kaito starts to daydream about Ichika, but he's interrupted when they point out a hickey on his neck. But Kaito insists it's a bug bite. After school is over, Kaito is recording when he spots Ichika again, who's fishing. He tells her there isn't any fish on the river, making her flustered. Later, he sighs, wishing he had kept the conversation with her longer. He daydreams about inviting her to stay at his house when suddenly he realizes it's not a daydream at all. Ichika is happy with his offer, but he retracts it. Ichika is about to leave when he discovers she's going to go camp outside, making him change his mind again. Later, Kaito makes Ichika comfortable in his room. After lending her some clothes, Kaito suddenly feels pain in his neck where the red mark is. Ichika just finished her bath when she hears him fall. She sees the red mark on his neck, which has grown bigger, and immediately calls for Rinan, her companion, who emerges from her suitcase and encases them in a sphere. Ichika kisses Kaito. Just then, Nanami opens the door and sees a naked girl hugging Kaito, before promptly closing the door. She tells Kana she saw something weird before opening the door again. Both witness Ichika hugging Kaito to her chest. Before arriving on Earth, Ichika wanted to search for the place she's been seeing in her head. Suddenly, her spaceship was damaged by debris, and she realized there were signs of life at the place they were about to land. Currently, Kana introduces Ichika to Nanami and asks Kaito why she is at their house. Kaito replies that Ichika has no money and nowhere to live, so he told her he can stay at theirs for a while. When Kana asks why they were embracing, Ichika explains he was caring for Kaito, who admits that he did feel sick. Ichika declares that where she comes from, people get better when hugged, giving them the impression that she's from abroad. When it's revealed that she doesn't have parents, Nanami gets emotional and says it's fine for her to live with them. As she'll be leaving soon, she declares that Ichika can take care of Kaito. Later, when Kaito accompanies Kana home, she asks him if he's only helping Ichika, and he says yes, making her relieved. Afterward, she calls Mio and Tetsuro and tells him what happened. Tetsuro gets an idea of where to have their movie meeting the next day. While Kaito eats, he asks Ichika why she chose to study abroad, and she answers that there's a place she'd like to go, but she doesn't know where it is. Later, Kaito finds a red mark on his forehead, and he fantasizes that it's a place that Ichika kissed while he was unconscious. Meanwhile, Ichika gleans from Rinan that the Quan linkage is still bugging out badly, but she's still glad as she's finally arrived on Earth. In the morning, Kaito is woken up by Ichika, who's wearing one of Nanami's sexy negligees. After bidding Nanami farewell at the train station, Kaito accompanies Ichika to shop like his sister asked. When they return home, Kaito's friends are inside. Tetsuro tells them that they decided to hold the meeting for the movie at his house. As Riman's scripts about the mobile weapons and zombies are too complicated, Tetsuro asks Ichika for her input, and she reveals she just wants to see some pretty scenery, an idea that Kaito likes. Everyone loves the idea of just having fun while filming the movie. Afterward, the group plays games while they get hyper and drunk on Riman's drinks. Seeing Kaito and Ichika talking on their own, Kana calls them over before asking Ichika about what she feels for Kaito. Before she can answer, Rinan makes an appearance and dances funny, which makes everyone laugh while Ichika scrambles to explain that it's her pet. Suddenly, Riman proposes to play a game. As the king, she has them do funny stuff to each other. Finally, she asks Kaito and Ichika to do something perverted, to which the two vehemently say no. In the kitchen, Kaito's head hurts suddenly. Ichika sees a red mark on his forehead, which she then kisses, vanishing the pain away. Kaito attempts to say something to Ichika, but he's silenced by her, who pleads for him not to say anything. Kaito imagines that even before he manages to confess, he's already rejected by Ichika. When Ichika goes to wake him up, he only slips her a paper, saying he wishes to stay home. Worried, she asks Rinan to check Kaito, but his scans turn out healthy. When she keeps knocking, he tells her through a note that he wants to be left alone. Ichika shows the notes to Riman, who says Kaito is just skipping school. When Riman says perhaps Kaito is avoiding someone, Ichika gets awkward as she remembered last night. Later, Ichika ponders that perhaps Kaito figured out what she is, and she imagines him calling the men in black on her. Meanwhile, Kaito imagines that his friends are telling Ichika she's too good for him. After school, Tetsuro teases Kana, saying that Ichika would be taking good care of Kaito while he's sick. Kana imagines something perverted happening between the two and decides to check on Kaito. Mio asks if Tetsuro is okay with what's happening, but they're interrupted by Riman, who wants to follow Kana with her camera. When Kana arrives, Kaito admits that he isn't sick. He's about to invite her in when he imagines Ichika finding them and judging him for being a playboy. He instead asks her to go to Kurozuo with him while their three friends observe them from a distance. On her way home, Ichika spots Kaido and Kana on the train, and she imagines that they're reporting her to the men in black. She calls for Rinon, but her companion is sleeping after being full. At Karuizawa, Kaido and Kana hang out while Rinon takes videos of them. Mio notices Tetsuro being quiet as he stares at the two, so she reaches out and tells him she wants to get a drink. Tetsuro comments that this is Kana's chance to get closer to Kaido, and she replies that if Tetsuro messes with someone else's love life, it might come back to bite him. Meanwhile, Kaido thanks Kana for not asking why he skipped school and admits that it had something to do with Ichika. He shares that he became too aware of Ichika, and he knows nothing could happen between the two of them. She's about to confess to Kaido when she notices Rinon filming them. She gets pissed, but Rinon escapes and Kana makes chase. Rinon encounters Mio and Tetsuro, and Kana realizes they've been watching her with Kaido. Kaido and Ichika bump into each other, and Kaido, who imagines she's going to judge him, runs away while Ichika chases after him. Out of breath, the two settle in a park, where they have a confusing conversation until they realize they're talking about two different things. Ichika thought he knew her secret, while Kaido thought he was rejected. Kaido's stomach growls and they laugh. While they get a snack, the two talk about themselves. Later, Kaido films Ichika, who then asks him whom he likes. When he denies that it's Kana or Mio, Ichika jokingly says that it must be her, but then Kaido blushes. When Kaido doesn't reply, Ichika turns and enters the train. The next day, the two are awkward again, as Kaido tries not to think about what happened, while Ichika tries to calm herself. At school, Kana and Mio notice Kaido acting weirdly, but he waves off their concerns. Meanwhile, Rinon gets a kick of Ichika's reaction whenever she mentions Kaido's name. Later, Kaido fantasizes that Ichika likes him too. He hugs her, but it's actually Tetsuro whom he's hugging. Kaido then asks his friend for advice, posing his situation as hypothetical, but Kaido doesn't believe him. Meanwhile, Ichika does the same with Rinon, who says that the girl should just tell the guy how she feels. Ichika says the girl finds him cute, but she couldn't go out with him since she'll be leaving soon. Later, Kaido recalls what Tetsuro said. He thinks that the girl either wishes it didn't happen, or doesn't know what to do. He advises that the guy shouldn't rush things. Suddenly, Kana finds him. She asks her what he did when they separated the other day, and Kaido lies that he just went home. Rinon barges into the conversation, and she's unimpressed by how lackluster his reaction is to her swimsuit. Ichika shows up, and they become awkward again. When the seniors leave, Kana reminds him that Ichika is from abroad, so she might have trouble communicating, and feels lonely. Kaido thanks her while Tetsuro, who's watching, says to Mio that Kana just doomed herself. Later, Kaido imagines him acting naturally with Ichika, telling her to act like what happened never happened. Suddenly, a woman named Minami pulls up her car and tells him to go shopping with her. Meanwhile, Ichika is imagining telling Kaido to give her some time to think things through before giving an answer when she sees him in a car with an older woman. Pissed, she threatens Rinon to use the linkage to jump her. She observes while Kaido and the woman go shopping and watch a movie. Afterward, she arrives in front of an apartment building, where she imagines the two are having a sexy time. After Minami goes to have a shower, Kaido looks up and sees a mad Ichika, who wants to drag him home immediately. Kaido resists, saying he should say goodbye, but it makes her upset. Minami comes out and assumes Ichika is Kaido's girlfriend, which he denies. Ichika, who's saying she wants to protect Kaido, gets riled up by Minami, who's teasing her that they have a relationship. Suddenly, Tetsuro arrives and reveals that Minami is his sister, who's already married. She had a petty fight with her husband, so she ran away from him for a while. Later, Ichika apologizes to Kaido, and she wants to make up with him by doing anything he wants. Initially, he wants to give him an answer to what she said yesterday, but he settles on asking her to help him study. With her help, he gets a passing grade. Kaido suddenly wakes up, horrified that he's late, before realizing it's the start of summer break. Later, Ichika asks him where he got his camera, and he reveals that it belonged to his grandfather who already passed away. He is showing her how to use it when he suddenly says she's too close. Rinon barges in and teases them, which makes Ichika push Kaido away. For their first day of filming, Rinon, who's in charge of the script, has Ichika wear a tight bodysuit. When she gets self-conscious, Kaido assures her that she looks great, which makes Kana frown. According to Rinon, their first scene is about how the heroine, who's an alien, meets a guy from Earth. Ichika gets worried by the familiar plot, while the others decide that Tetsuro should act with her. As she's ad-libbing as an alien, Ichika does well, which impresses everyone. While Tetsuro decides to be one of the men in black, Ichika shoots him before Rinon cuts the scene, satisfied. Afterward, while Kaido and Ichika talk, Kana watches the two, which Tetsuro notices. When he teases her, Kana asks him if he knows her feelings for Kaido, and he admits he does. When she wonders if he'll help her, he only says that they've been friends for a long time. She promises him that if he finds someone, she will help him too, which Mio overhears. The next scene they do is of Kaido's character inviting Ichika to stay at his house. Later, Kaido sighs as he ended up being given a role in the movie. Tetsuro hints he made it happen on purpose. That night, Ichika asks Kaido if he'll be okay with someone hypothetically from another planet, and he replies it wouldn't be a big deal at all. The next day, Kana is told by Ichika that there would be no filming due to the heavy rain. She decides to visit Kaido, bringing some vegetables with her, and Ichika invites Kana to have lunch with them. Afterward, Kaido starts filming and encourages the two girls to have a conversation. They're talking about lighthearted stuff when Kana suddenly asks Ichika how long she'll be staying with them. When the others get awkward, she apologizes immediately. Later, she thinks she's a bad person for asking Ichika a question like that. She's tearing up when she sees Tetsuro ahead. Later, she reveals that Kaido and Ichika being together is making her restless, and Tetsuro urges that she should just confess, but she's too scared that it'll ruin their friendship and make things awkward. That night, Tetsuro climbs the balcony of Kaido's room, and he films him as he reveals Kana's feelings towards Kaido, which Ichika overhears. Ichika decides to act normally after what she overheard earlier. Meanwhile, Minami gives Tetsuro tickets to Okinawa. Kana excitedly says yes to his invitation to Okinawa, and he instructs her to call Kaido and Mio about it too. After Kaido picks up her call, he tells Ichika about the trip, who gets excited later that she finds out Okinawa has beautiful beaches. At Okinawa, Kaido compliments Kana's bikini. Tetsuro asks Mio what swimsuit she's wearing, but she says it's nothing special. Just then, Ichika arrives in her swimwear, and Kaido gets mesmerized. The group that enjoys the beach and plays beach volleyball. After a while, Riemon announces that they should start filming. Everyone on the beach ends up staring at them while they film, and a girl asks what they're up to. It turns out she's Kaido's childhood friend Kaori, who claims to be his fiancé, much to everyone's shock. Kaido states that was when they were in elementary school, and he becomes nervous if Ichika and Kana. Meanwhile, Tetsuro gets flirted with by Kaori's friend Chiharu, which makes Mio worried. Riemon is amused when she records all of them. At their cabin, Kana and Ichika have a seemingly pleasant conversation, while Kaido sits nervously before them. As they were instructed by Nanami to take care of him, they say they won't approve of him running off on a romantic trip with some girl. Outside in the veranda, Mio asks Tetsuro what he thinks of Chiharu, and he admits that he thinks she's cute with a great body. Suddenly, she appears, ecstatic to hear what he just said, while Mio looks on in dismay as Chiharu continues to flirt with an uncomfortable Tetsuro. Riemon invited her and Kaori to be guests in their film. Kaori asks Kaido which one of the girls is his girlfriend, and he denies having one. He finds himself under the stares of Kana and Ichika. The next day after the film, Kaori clings to an uncomfortable Kaido, making Ichika and Kana unhappy, while Mio observes Tetsuro and Chiharu worriedly. When Tetsuro attempts to escape Chiharu, Kana comments that she thought he'd be all over her, but Mio says Tetsuro isn't like that. Suddenly, the girls realize that Kaido, Kaori, and Chiharu are nowhere around. Kaori takes Kaido into the woods, saying she wants to be alone with him, but Kaido is unconvinced, as he knows she put her finger on her lip whenever she's unhappy. Kaori asks Kaido what he'll do if she says she still likes him, and he tells her that though he isn't dating someone, he does like someone. He's shocked when she cries. Meanwhile, Tetsuro thinks that he has escaped, but Chiharu hugs him from the back. Chiharu forces herself on Tetsuro, but Mio knocks her off, making Chiharu land on Rinon, who accidentally activates a signal. Mio lands on top of Tetsuro and they blush. Then, Ichika finds Kaido and Kaori.